Today's best music.
Magic 89.9.
What was so liberating and refreshing about it too? What was there a certain sense of freedom? Was there a certain sense of, again, aside from the whole family factor, was it a certain sense of chains being, just all of a sudden, you as people are unleashed into an unknown world? Is that what it is?
I think the privacy was
okay.
one thing.
Okay.
Because again, we put ourselves out there, and I know we were limited in terms of what we wanted to share, but so much of us, it's like if we didn't give freely to our listeners, they wouldn't receive it well either. So to kind of just be quiet was nice. I realize I'm a much quieter person about my private life than I was back then.
Yeah. Similarly, I think that was part of it. I think too. So I started in radio my junior year of college, and I became a courtside reporter the following year. So I was a senior.
Right.
And I just never, and I know, like, in the grand scheme of things, that's not super young. Some people start very, very young.
Especially now. Getting younger and younger, yeah.
But I think it wasn't really like I had a plan that was what would happen. And it felt very much I was swept up in these like amazing opportunities, and just sort of ran with it. And I think by the time I left, I had gotten to a point where I needed to pause and ask myself if, like, was this what I wanted, or was what was in front of me, and so I was running with it. And both of those things, whatever the answer was going to be okay. But I just needed that pause. And I think when I went to the States and I realized that, like, that wasn't where I kept wanting to be, like, that wasn't necessarily the path that I kept wanting to take, that was what was liberating to me. It was like I had made this decision for me, not because it felt like what everybody else said was the cool thing to do, which I hope that doesn't sound like I was ungrateful or didn't love what I was doing at the time, because I really did. But like 19 is not the same as 24. And I just needed the space to stop and think about who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do with my life. And I just had never had that chance because we were working all the time. You were too busy working to really think about what you wanted.
Right.
When I was at Andy, yeah. Like everywhere we went, I was like, dude, no, I don't know. There's a toning down, right? Like, I don't have to be as conscious about it. I think we're at a place in the world where anything you put on social media, you're just aware that anything you put out there is out there forever.
But what isn't it more so just magnified here in the Philippines when you were here? Like, I mean, you know what I'm talking about, right? You see, it's different when I explain this to somebody else, but if I explain it to both of you, I assume at least that you get what I'm saying because you've had it. You understand the context of being under the microscope all the time.
Yeah, I think it's hard. You kind of lose sight of who you are on air and off air. So you kind of haze those lines between the two, and you're just like, well, which one am I going to be today? And then it's not a choice anymore. It's just you're not as thoughtful about what you're putting out there. I mean, I wasn't. I'm just saying this on my behalf. It's just I was just pulling out tweets and posts and just anything to be visible.
All right. Jet? Well, I mean, I know you're constantly on social media because it's still part of your work to a certain degree, but not in
I think about that a lot. I think
good. Okay.
Because I transitioned to journalism, right? And
sorry, what was that again?
I transitioned to journalism,
right.
There are different expectations and there's different rules for what you can and can't tweet and what's considered appropriate if you want to maintain credibility. And you and I had a long talk about what you should and shouldn't do if you want to stay credible right before I left. And I think,
I don't know if what I said would, did you any good, but yeah.
But like after, now I'm much more careful. I've never been a particularly opinionated person, especially in like public persona, and so I've just sort of stayed with that. But also like endorsements and stuff like that. Those were things that I had to deal with, like kind of backtrack a little and be like, no, I wasn't a journalist in the same way then. Like,
right.
Endorsements, it was a different thing, and I had to like kind of explain that a little bit, because that's not something you can do and still be like a journalist. Like, it's not. You can't be. So it was a really weird transition. But I think one ultimately for the better. I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier about just needing time to sort of pause and sort of take stock of where I was. I think it was very easy to get caught up in like the gratification of being in the public eye and like people like liking what you were doing or what you were looking like, or
five sexiest, five cutest, you know, those things, right?
I still carry that around my back.
Like, it makes me feel like that's the kind of affirmation you need. A decent human.
I don't know about you. I still bring that up.
I made that list, by the way, the 5 sexiest female DJs on radio, on Philippine radio.
You clearly didn't pay enough for me.
It must have been my lip gloss that no, but you know what I mean, right? But that's a great answer and a great insight also. For those who miss you, we're talking to Mia Bayuga and Jessica Mendoza, of course, from Magic 89.9. Here's a question, random. And please, I want you to be as honest as possible. It's just the three of us talking anyway. And it looks like Mojo won't be able to join us anymore.